Hi everyone, today we've got a video on changing the front hub wheel bearing assembly on the Toyota. Last year, this is when it happened, I'd stripped the brakes off due to an MOT advisory for the rear calipers, so I thought I'd strip them all off. And after I'd stripped them off, I sat down, had a cup of tea, spun the hub as we see here, and it sounded terrible, so I knew I needed to change it. So whilst ordering a hub, I soaked the 4 bolts which hold the hub assembly on, which are accessed from the back, as we see there, with plus gas for a couple of days. And there we see it there on the right hand side. There's the bolts in red. There's 4, one hidden behind the ABS sensor, which will be circled in green very shortly. And they are basically the 4 bolts that hold that hub assembly on, and that there is the plug that you'll need to unclip for the ABS sensor. I think it was a 12mm socket, and what I did was I got a breaker bar, and after soaking them in plus gas for a couple of days, I then just slowly turned, and I was quite surprised and pleased actually, because I didn't want to shear them off, that with a relatively short breaker bar they turned quite easily, so that enabled me to take the bolts out quite quickly, and that wasn't too much of a problem. The problem, however, did come, and we'll see shortly, is as you look at the hub there behind the circular hub part, you can see the plate where it's bolted to the assembly. That is the bit that's going to cause you the problem. Now this is from the other side, and you can see the ABS socket at the top there, and then the 2 bolts on the other side. And what I did was I just broke all 4 with the breaker bar and then spun them out. As I was saying, the problems you are going to have with this is getting the hub off of the sort of knuckle assembly, because it will be rusted in there. And trust me, that was the worst part of this job. The unbolting of it was no problem at all. Now the other thing with this hub assembly is the splash guard that you saw a little earlier that sits behind the hub is sandwiched between the hub and the steering knuckle. So this is an ideal time to change that out, because if they're anything like mine were, they were starting to corrode around the bottom. And the only way you can change those is to take the hubs off, and that's the rear as well, front and rear. The only way you can change them is to take the wheel bearing hubs out. So if you're taking a wheel bearing off the hub, then do order a new splash guard and put that on. In the UK from Toyota they're about £20, so a bit pricey for a bit of pressed metal, but there we go. Now taking off the ABS sensor, if you just put a little screwdriver into the bottom part to lever up a small tab, and then just wiggle the back of the sensor, and then that will just pull straight off, and then move it out of the way so you're not going to catch anything on that. You can see the tab there just on the back side of it that's facing us. The ABS sensors on these hubs are an integral part of the hub. You can't buy them separately, it becomes part of the hub. And this, the hub was £99, and I bought that online. You can see there in that pic, there's the 4 bolts that come out the back, and you can see the state of the splash guard, which wasn't too bad on the front here, but on the rear they are absolutely wrecked, and I'm going to have to change them when I change the bearings, if that ever happens in the future. I then commenced pretty much beating the hell out of this thing, trying to get it out. People had warned me it would be a pain, and after a couple of days of thrashing this thing, what I decided I was going to do was I got an old Stilson's wrench, and it put that on there, and we'll see that in a minute, and that's where it popped out. I've taken the audio off of this bit because it wasn't so good. That lip edge there, you'll need to clean that right up to be able to receive the new hub and the face as well. You can see the sort of corrosion edge where the old ones popped out of. You need to clean all that up to make sure it receives it, because that edge there that my thumb's sort of poking to that is what corrodes in, and I couldn't even push that back in because of the corrosion, and when I got the new one that wouldn't push in either. So do make sure you clean that up, otherwise you will have problems trying to just push the hub in. You'll know when it's cleaned enough because the new hub will just slide in there quite nicely. There's the Stilson wrench that I used and the sledgehammer, and what I basically did there was I clamped it onto the top of the hub like that, clamped it on tight. You can see the jack there just off to the right hand side that I put underneath the steering knuckle there just to stop that bouncing, and then I basically hit the handle 4 times on that Stilson's wrench, and that popped it and broke the rust seal on that hub. I didn't have anything else at my disposal to be able to break that. I'm sure there's more refined methods of being able to do that, but that's the way I got it out. Other people have used air hammers and all kinds of things, but that's how I did it. And then simply it's a case of getting the new hub, putting it back in there, 4 bolts in the back, there's the new one. Don't forget to sandwich your new splash guard between, and then once the 4 bolts are in, plug your ABS sensor back in and you're done. Sit back and enjoy your new hub goodness. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you found this useful, and I'll see you again on the next video. Ta-ta for now.